Public Works and Services Committee meeting to order. First order would be the alderman. I am Alder Molly Jones of the 2nd District. We have Alder Elisa Jarrett of the 14th District. We have Alder Corey Sebastian of the 15th District, Alder David Mack of the 4th District, and Alder Henry Perez of the 12th District. Our staff, Commissioner Rooney of the Public Works. Our Assistant Commissioner of Public Works is Ron Pritchloff. And our city engineer is Aria Mulder. Our administrative assistant is Kendra Hipshin. Our next item, we will go to Mr. Pritchloff to read the notice of public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a public hearing for anyone, their agent, or attorney to state their support of or objection to the proposed alley improvement paving projects. Public comments, letters, and petitions will be made part of the record of this hearing and will be taken under consideration when the committee determines which alleys will be approved, disapproved, or modified for improvement at its next scheduled meeting. There will be no action taken on the alleys proposed at tonight's hearing. Each proposed alley improvement paving project will be announced and considered individually. Each proposed project will be on display during the public hearing for reference and information. You only need to state your name, address, and if you are in favor of or opposed to your alley's accessible project. There is no need to explain your position. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Property owners who do not wish to speak at tonight's public hearing but do wish to state their support or objection can send a letter to the Commissioner of Public Works. Letters must be received within 10 days after the public hearing to be considered. All petitions and letters will be made part of the record of tonight's public hearing. Property owner support or opposition to each project will be reported on a percentage of frontage basis to the Public Works and Services Committee at their next meeting. If the City of Racine determines to proceed with the proposed project, a final resolution shall be adopted by the Common Council. The City Clerk shall publish the final resolution as a Class 1 notice. A copy of said resolution shall be mailed to every interested party. A person having an interest in land affected by the determination of the Common Council shall have 90 days after the date of the notice to appeal the determination to the Racine County Circuit Court. Alleys adopted for paving this year would be bid for construction in the summer of the following year. After construction is completed and the construction contract is closed, the abutting property owners will be assessed for their portion of the project costs. Assessments under $200 must be paid in full. Assessments over $200 may be paid in 10 annual installments. Deferred payments to bear an interest rate of 6% per annum on the unpaid balance. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchloff. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Commissioner Rooney, who will present each street up for public comment. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to go over a little information before we get the public hearing started. Just to give you an idea why the alley that maybe you're here to speak on is up for public hearing. So alleys come up for public hearing for a few reasons. One, they are either recommended by an alder to have that alley brought forward, or it fell under a new ordinance that was approved by the Common Council in November of 2023. The action the Common Council took in November of last year was to have 25% of the worst rated alleys brought forward for public hearing this spring, and in subsequent years moving forward it'll be the bottom 10%. So that would be the reason that the alley is up, for one of those two reasons. It's either here by ordinance or it's here by alder recommendation. We will let you know why that particular alley is up. Also, just to give you a little information, all alleys are 100% accessible to the abutting property owner. So whoever the owner of the property is, you get assessed on a per front footage basis for that. The city engineer's office creates estimates for alley construction based on the width of that right-of-way in which that alley will be built. So we come up with estimates for alleys, say, built in a 10-foot wide right-of-way, or a 15-foot wide right-of-way, or a 20-foot wide right-of-way. Those rates are approved by Common Council prior to us sending out notices for the public hearing. After those preliminary resolutions for those public hearings to be held. Those rates that are approved by Common Council, that are estimated by the city engineer's office, are calculated by looking at previous year's bids, historical data that we've had on this type of construction, looking at the consumer price index and where prices are going for the following year, and also talking to contractors to see what the bidding climate's going to be like the next year. So in this particular example that's on the screen here, this would be for a 7-inch thick Portland cement concrete alley in a 15-foot wide public right-of-way. So again, that alley would have to be less than 15 feet in width, but greater than 10 feet. These are the rates that have been approved by Common Council over the years. So you can see they were pretty stagnant in the last half of last decade, and they've continuously rose since 2019. The price of construction has been going up over the last several years, and if you look at that trend based back to 2020 and where we're at today, the way things are going, this is a simple linear projection. An alley 15 foot wider or less, could be, over $100 in 2029 based on these trends if they continue. That's just information to let you know where costs have been, what we project them to be if the alley is approved, and where they could go if it's not approved. And by ordinance, if it's not approved, these alleys will come back eventually up for public hearing again. One thing we'll talk about too is the rating of the alley. The alleys are rated based on a condition index. They're rated 1 to 10. So you'll hear a Paiser rating. Not surprisingly, all those Paiser ratings are pretty low. We'll go over that as well. And with that, Madam Chair, if you want to get the public hearing started, we can get going.
Thanks, Commissioner Rooney. Our first alley up tonight for the committee, if you would look on page 2 at the top, we're going to skip because Alda Kelly has to leave and she needs to speak on this item. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? Excuse me. Our first alley is 16th, 15th, Thurston, and Grange Avenue. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the alley bounded by 16th, 15th, Thurston, and Grange. This is in the 13th district. The existing surface is asphalt over concrete. This asphalt was placed in 1978. The Paiser rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 14 feet wide and a 15-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $82 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance that was approved last November. At this time of the public hearing, we have no one in favor or in objection to the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at 16th, 15th, Thurston, and Grange? If so, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Richard Bowman, 1511 Thurston Avenue. I have questions before I give a approval or disapproval. Did this committee consider doing this in asphalt rather than Portland cement?
Our recommendation for Public Works and Engineering is to rebuild the alleys when they come up for public hearing in concrete. After the evaluation, the Paiser rating that these are on, the asphalt overlay that was placed on this appears to be 45 years ago is failed, and the reason it's failed is because the pavement below it has failed, and the overlay is really, that bonded overlay is really only as good as that base pavement that it's overlaid on. So that's why we're recommending this alley be replaced in kind, or not in kind, with Portland cement concrete paving rather than have the overlay put on it. We don't project that it'll have much useful life by putting an overlay on it. An overlay will still be assessed to the abutting property owners, and there's a good chance that that Paisley rating will fall very quickly because of the underlying base concrete condition.
The old alley's going to have to come out before you put down Portland concrete, correct? You can't
Yeah.
lay it over the current one?
Yeah, we will remove the entire concrete, the composite pavement, the asphalt and the concrete below it. It'll all get removed. If the subgrade needs to get treated, new base course will get put in, and then the new pavement will get put down.
So did the committee consider doing that in asphalt rather than in Portland cement?
This is not a recommendation by the Department of Public Works to have an asphalt overlay put on that, no.
Didn't say an overlay, I said replacement.
Pardon me?
Replacement. I mean, if you look at our two main thoroughfares in Racine, you guys had those paved in asphalt. They're not concrete for the most part. So what my question is, why is Washington Avenue and US 31 okay to be in asphalt, but an alleyway that sees maybe 3 cars a day and garbage trucks mainly need to be Portland concrete rather than asphalt? The cost is going to be significantly less.
Well, those roads that you're referring to, a lot of those, either they have a super paved mix on them by DOT, those are very, very thick highway design mixes, or those are bonded overlays over concrete below them as well. The alleys that we're recommending for concrete are being recommended because of the loads that they get from the refuse trucks. So
All the streets in Racine have this specialized underlay under them?
Pardon?
Like Washington? All of the streets in Racine, for the most part, are asphalt.
no, that is not true.
Yes, it is true. I drove around and I took mileage statistics. Most of the streets here are asphalt. They're not concrete. So I want to
Majority
know
of the
why an
streets-
alleyway that's going to be like a 3-mile-an-hour alleyway that's going to see 3 or 4 cars a day needs to have this massive overkill of construction when the same job can be done. We're talking about just this alleyway. By your standard for how much is being charged per, is going to generate $70,000 just from the homeowners. This does not need to be this expensive for an alleyway. I've been in construction my entire life. I know what the current costs are. I currently work in construction. This is an absolute overkill, and unless the committee wants to start answering some hard questions about all the decisions they make when it comes to spending the taxpayers' money rather than money that's now being added to the taxpayers' burden, because that's an audit I'm ready to do. But I'm going to be wanting some answers why we need super highway quality construction for alleyways. That's my question. Until I get that, unless there's a really good reason, which it doesn't sound like there is, or you just slap that down on the table first.
Well,
And I'm gonna want to know. I know what city engineers do, and I know what various government entities do when it comes to spending the money they get for taxes versus just an assessment that they can add to the taxpayer. But there are less expensive ways of doing this that are going to be just as effective for the purpose of an alleyway.
Well, statistically, sir, about 2/3 of the streets in the city of Racine are Portland cement concrete pavement. There's another about 15% that are composite pavements, asphalt over concrete or asphalt over brick. There is not a high percentage of just bituminous pavements in the city of Racine. We have the data, so that
Is
is
that
the
data available?
information that we have. As far as the concrete, this is what we propose. It is non-reinforced concrete pavement. That's what we propose to put down based on the loading that we get from the refuse trucks that go through the alley. That is our recommendation.
Okay, where is that data available you just said about the 2/3 of the streets in Racine?
It's available. If you want to leave your information, I can send you that information regarding how to contact you. You can leave it with Kendra, our administrative assistant.
Who is it?
She stepped out to make copies. She'll be back.
Is she the one who is at the desk
Yeah,
over there?
if you want to
Okay,
leave her
I
your
recognize
contact information, I can send you all that information, sir.
her. All right, thank you.
My name is Jan Hansen. I live in 1505 Thurston Avenue. And the same with, like he was saying, like our alley sees maybe 3 cars. I live in the house that has like a driveway, so I never even go to the alley. My garage is attached the other way. So we barely see any cars driving there. It's mainly the garbage trucks. So that's why I bring out my garbage. So to pay like $3,300 to concrete something that's like I don't even drive on, I have no access to my alley, I think it's kind of crazy.
And my name is Darlene Hughes. I live at 1532 Grange Avenue. I, as well as she, do not have access to the alleyway. I have a driveway that I don't even access the alleyway at all, except for to put my garbage out there for the garbage men. I don't understand the reason they have to pay, like she said, over $3,000 for the paving.
Can you repeat your address, please?
1532 Grange Avenue.
Thank you.
My name is Tim Hughes. I also live at 1532 Grange. I've lived there for 13 years. I've used that alley twice. Why I'm being charged $1,800 for each time I've used it is beyond reason. I have never used it. I have access to my driveway and my house from the street. The only thing that goes out in that alley is, excuse me, is my garbage. And $3,300 is ridiculous to just have garbage taken out.
I have one more question. Richard Bowman, 1511 Thurston Avenue. Are each one of these alleyways being individually handled, or is it the accumulation of all of them if the vast majority of everybody on all these alleys wants it or doesn't want it, or is it each individual alley's group of people? Like when I go door to door to get my petition signed, which I'm going to do, I was a Jehovah's Witness for 25 years. I might as well put that to use. When I go door to door, do I need to go to all of these alleys, or do I just need to go around Grange and Thurston to get my petition?
So the process for this is we have the public hearing. You're here to speak for or against it. And if you don't want to speak, or you can't make it, you have 10 days to get us something in writing, whether it's a petition. Make sure it is the owner of the property, their agent or attorney that signs that. It can't be a relative or somebody who doesn't have vested interest in it. It is only for this alley because in 2 weeks we'll present all the data to this committee to say these people are for, these people are against. We'll give them the additional information. It is information that they will consider when they make their final decision. What they will do then is they will make a recommendation to the Common Council and a final resolution saying, hey, we're going to ask that this project be approved, this one be deleted. So they're all considered individually in 2 weeks. So if we have a list of 15 alleys, you know, maybe half of them will go, half won't, maybe none of them will go, maybe all of them will go, but they are considered individually by the alders in 2 weeks.
Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Renee Kelly. I'm the Alder of the 13th District for this particular location. Commissioner Rooney, if you would just please explain the potholes, if there's potholes in there, if those would be filled. I know we're short on staffing, so if you just kind of explain that situation to the folks here. And then also, if this doesn't get done, what would the time frame be if they that they would be reassessed at a later date, please?
Well, per the ordinance, if this item gets deleted by committee and ultimately by Common Council the week after that, it's more than likely it's going to stay in the bottom 10%. It might not, but it'll be back in 2 years. If there's other alleys worse than this one, then it would be back in, you know, the following year. So that's the process for how it will return. Insofar as alley maintenance go, DPW is severely limited based on budget that is approved by Common Council insofar as personnel and budget for maintenance as it relates to our roadway system. So we have a hierarchy of roadways that we need to take care of. It starts with the highways, then it goes to the arterials, then it goes to the collector streets, then it goes to your local neighborhood streets, and then last are the alleys. And the resources that we have are very limited, and the only type of maintenance we really can provide in the alleys is really emergency maintenance. If we get a call on it, we'll assess it, see if it's a real serious safety hazard. Otherwise, it is particularly any pavement that has a very low rating, whether it's a PASER rating or a PCI rating. The whole idea behind pavement management is pavement preservation. When they reach a point where they're at a failed condition, it is throwing good money after bad to try to keep a Band-Aid on them. We'd rather invest the few pavement maintenance dollars that we have in preserving the pavements that we have out there and extending the life of those assets, trying to get some more life out of them before we have to do a complete overlay or a complete tear out and reconstruction. So that is the budget that we have to work with and the personnel that we have to work with. That's why very little, unfortunately, alley maintenance gets done other than for emergency situations.
Thank you for that explanation.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the alley, 16th, 15th, Thurston and Grange? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley, 16th? Beg pardon? Sir, did you want to come to the... Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the alley, 16th, 15th, Thurston and Grange? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley, 16th, 15th, Thurston and Grange? Seeing none, I will now close the alley for 16th, 15th, Thurston and Grange. We will now go back to the first alley on the sheet, committee members.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This alley is bounded by 12th, Riley, Racine, and Irving. It's in the 1st Aldermanic District. The existing surface is concrete, placed in 1941 with a PASER rating of 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 16-foot public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation by the ordinance approved by Common Council last November. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage opposed or in favor of the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Commissioner Rooney, is there anyone here wishing to speak on the alley, 12th, Riley, Racine, and Irving Place? Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at 12th, Riley, Racine, Irving Place? Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at 12th, Riley, Racine, Irving Place? Seeing none, I would consider the alley closed. The next alley is 19th, 18th, Fleet, and Holmes Avenue. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The alley bounded by 19th, 18th, Fleet, and Holmes is in the 11th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is concrete, placed in 1941, PASER rating of 1. The existing pavement width is 14 feet wide in a 15-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $82 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage in favor or opposed to the proposed improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley, 19th, 18th, Fleet, and Holmes? Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at 19th, 18th, Fleet, Holmes? Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at 19th, 18th, Fleet, and Holmes? Seeing we have no speakers, I would consider the alley closed. The next alley is Riley, 11th Street, Racine Street, and Irving. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The alley bounded by Riley, 11th, Racine, and Irving is in the 1st Aldermanic District. The existing surface is concrete, placed in 1941. The PASER rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 16-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage opposed and 0% of the frontage in favor of the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Riley, 11th Street, Racine Street, and Irving Place? Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Riley, 11th Street, Racine Street, and Irving Place? Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Riley, 11th Street, Racine Street, Irving Place? Seeing no speakers, I would declare the public comment section closed for that alley. Our next alley is Albert Street, Kewanee, Blake, and Carlisle. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This alley is in the 8th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is asphalt placed over concrete in 1970. The PASER rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 19 feet in a 20-foot public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage opposed or in favor of the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Albert, Kewanee, Blake, and Carlisle? Please state your name and address, and if you're for or against.
For neither. I'm still trying to get answers also. My name is Marcos Chavez. I live at 1443 Carlisle. I was trying to figure out, I got a letter last year about this Community Development Authority about $15 million given to the state for our area to help with buying lots, improving properties, and building new houses, improving public spaces. I'm wondering why we haven't heard anything about that and if that could be used to help with this situation of this alley. That we got a map of it and we're in that district, so I haven't heard anything. Why not? I haven't seen anything in the improvements within our area, so why not? Where's that money and why can't that be allocated towards the repairs of some of those public uses of those street, the alleys and stuff like that?
The only thing I can offer would be the number one, the alleys I do know are 100% accessible to the abutting property owner. So I don't know if this Common Council has ever considered using different funding sources to pay for those. That would be a question for the Common Council. That's just, my opinion. The other item may be that you need to speak to someone in city development, like the director of city development, and perhaps the person that chairs the Community Development Authority Committee, which is outside of Public Works. I believe the CDA is the one that holds the purse strings to those monies and decides how they're dispersed and what they are used for. We don't. So that's the best I can try to answer your question. I hope that helped.
Okay, I'll look into it and see what I get done.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Albert, Kewanee, Blake, and Carlisle? Please state your name and address, and if you're for or against.
Jacqueline Mendez. I wanted to know if I could represent my father, who's Spanish speaking. The address is 1438 Blake Avenue, name Jose Mendez. If possible, may I speak on his behalf? So at this time, we are opposed of this decision. My father is at the verge of retirement. He has a lot of substantial bills and responsibilities he got to handle, and to pay almost $4,000 for an alley he barely uses, we think it's unfair. So that's our decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishes to speak on the alley at Albert, Kewanee, Blake, and Carlisle? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Albert Street, Kuwani, Blake, Carlisle? Anyone wishing to speak on the alley at Albert, Kuwani, Blake, and Carlisle? Seeing no one, I will declare the public hearing for the alley at Albert, Kuwani, Blake, Carlisle closed. Our next alley is Prospect, Harriet, Howard, and David. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This alley is in the 6th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is asphalt that was placed over concrete in 1979. The PASER rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 14 feet wide and a 15-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $82 a front foot. This is a recommendation based on the ordinance approved by the Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage in favor and 0% of the frontage opposed to the improvement.
Thank you. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Howard, and David?
Good evening. My name is Oscar. I am speaking on behalf of my mother, but she's not here, medical reasons. However, you will be getting a letter from her about it. Our decision is opposing to it. I am here to speak also because I wanted to add on to what Mr. Sir here had to say. Really don't need that, that much. I have worked in construction, so I'm very well known of the stuff that he also brought up. So also it's just, ridiculous how some of the people work for something that we. Sorry. All right, so. Sir, I'm sorry. You seem uninterested, by the way your posture is and all that. So I just wanted to make sure that,
I'm listening to you. Yes,
okay.
Yes,
all right.
absolutely.
All right. So, so I just opposed to this, and my mom will be sending a letter as well. Like I said, the decision is ridiculous. We have other people who think the same thing. So, yeah. Thank you.
My name is Ed Hartman, and I'm from 1120 Howard Street. I'm opposed to this. I don't think it's really necessary. Most of us here would probably be satisfied with gravel sitting there. I would much prefer that you guys go ahead and spend your resources to go ahead and put a speed bump in front of the house to go ahead and stop people driving 35, 40 miles an hour down that one block road that we have there.
My name is Kelly Santucci. I live at 1134 David Street, and I'm also opposed. I think $3,500 for an alley is completely unnecessary. Our alley is just fine.
My name is Kurt Marquardt. I live at 1113 Howard Street. As said earlier, I'm one of the persons that has a driveway, and I don't even use the alley. When you read your special assessments, it says that doing these things is you get a direct benefit from it, and I'm not going to get any benefit if you repave the alley, and $4,900 is a lot of money. That's my statement.
Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Howard, and Davis? Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Howard, and David? Anyone else wish to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Howard, and David? Seeing none, I would declare the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Howard, and David closed. Our next alley is Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This alley is in the 6th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is concrete, placed in 1942 with a Pazer rating of 1. The existing pavement width is 14 feet wide and a 15-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $82 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage opposed or in favor of the proposed improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard? Anyone wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard? Please state your name and address for the record, and if you're opposed or in favor.
My name is Suzanne Hartman at 1120 Howard Street, and I oppose this. I think the cost is just too much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard? Seeing no one, I would declare the public hearing on the alley at Prospect, Harriet, Jefferson, and Howard closed. Our next alley is Hill, Prospect, south of Prospect, west of Hill. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is in the 6th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is concrete, placed in 1941. The Pazer rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 16-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 25% of the frontage opposed to this improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on the alley, Hill, Prospect south of Prospect, west of Hill? Please state your name, address, and if you're opposed or in favor.
I'm Randall Adzema, 1929 Prospect. I'm not about either side. I have some questions, though. Let's say this goes through, it's all approved, and you start digging this up. This price on here, $3,960. If you come across something in the alley, my house has been there 130 plus years. I've been there 30 plus years. And if you come into a snafu halfway through the alley, are you going to jack this bill, double it? Or is this price etched in stone? This is the price we pay, no matter what you come across. If you find Jimmy Hoffa in there or something, I want to know.
That price has been approved by Common Council, as I stated earlier. We take those unit prices to the Public Works Committee long before we take any of these items to public hearing. So that is the maximum amount that you would get charged per front foot. If that price through competitive bidding comes in less than that, let's say, then that's all you will be charged. If it comes in more than that, because prices go up or we run into, unexpected conditions and have a change order, you don't pay that. The city has to absorb that extra cost. So that is the max amount per front foot that you will pay.
Okay, another question I have. We have alternate parking. Prospect is a very narrow street. Right now, people park on both sides, regardless of the alternate parking laws. When this goes through, I have 4 vehicles in my yard that I get out down the alley, plus my motorcycle. And this is going to be shut down in the summer, so that's 5 vehicles I'm going to need access to in this alley. I'm not leaving my bike out front, but there's going to be a lot of cars out there. So the people that don't make it to the right side of the street, are they all going to get ticketed? Or is there going to be a leniency there while this is being done?
By ordinance, it's already on the books. Any improvement, whether it's an alley or a road project, if the road is being removed for construction, then they waive a 2-block buffer around the entire construction area and waive alternate street side parking during the length of the time of construction. Alleys generally run about 30 days from start to finish, 30 to 35 days. So there'll be no alternate street side parking enforced if you're within a 2-block buffer of the area.
Thank you.
And PD will get notified if the job gets approved. They'll get notified about that by the city engineer's office, so they don't ticket.
My third question is, I've been here 34 years, but the last 7, maybe 8 years, the street cleaner does not come down the alley no more. So when the garbage truck picks up a load and it leaks all over and there's crap in the alley, it's left to the people that live there to clean up that mess. Is the street cleaner going to start coming back down the alley once we pay these fees for new concrete?
Oh, well, yeah, that's one of the issues with alleys when they come to a point where they are just not serviceable anymore. We've had some alleys in some districts that we've had to cease picking up refuse because they were in that tough a shape and people had to bring the refuse out curbside. And we have the same problem with the sweepers. The brooms get caught up because of the deteriorated pavement, so we can't get the sweepers down there without causing a lot of damage to those mechanical brooms. So yeah, when they're serviceable and you can provide normal service, you know, because of the pavement condition, absolutely that work can be done. But we do have to forego certain types of maintenance activities on some of these pavements because of their condition. And street sweeping, unfortunately, is one of them. So you are correct.
And as long as I'm here, you know, you could probably cushion a lot of people's pockets. I can see Lincoln Park and I can see all of Island Park from my backyard. Nobody down there playing ball. It could be raining and all the lights are on and nobody's down there. I don't know why the park is all lit up and there's no one to enjoy it.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Hills Prospect South of Prospect West of Hill? Anyone else wishing to speak on Hill Prospect South of Prospect West of Hill?
Good afternoon. My name is David La Rosa. I live in 1771 Hill Street. My parcel of lot is 3031. If you look at the map, my house is in the corner. Okay, I never used the alley. So the question is, and my question is why they need to be paid $3,960 and I never use it. You look at the map. So another question is, I agree with the person. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you. We need people like that because all the time, everybody know that they need to make the right things for the community and the service and the citizen too. We can do something where things is right, where it's not right. And everybody know that. So I lost my day. I lost my day to stay here. I lost money to stay here. To say the same thing where everybody says the same thing. So I don't understand why. I don't want to say bad words. I want respect for everybody. But I think so this is necessary, this meeting here. Definitely I decline. I decline everything because I agree with whatever they say about the mount. Again, my house is over there. You can see the map. I never used the alley. But I need to pay. Something's right? No, it is not. But definitely my house got 2 lots, 30 and 31. Maybe that's the reason you need to pay. But not, I don't want to pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Hill Prospect South of Prospect West of Hill? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley Hill Prospect South of Prospect West of Hill? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at Hill Prospect South of Prospect West of Hill? Seeing no other speakers, I would declare the public hearing for the alley at Hill Prospect South of Prospect West of Hill closed. Our next alley is State West, Blake, and Memorial. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is in the 8th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is asphalt that was placed in 1979 over concrete. The PASER rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 16-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation based on the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 40% of the frontage opposed to the improvement.
Thank you. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at State Street West Blake Memorial? Please state your name and address, and if you're opposed or against.
My name is Maria Perez. I live 916 North Memorial Drive, and I disapprove this project because you see it, I live right in the corner. They don't have nothing to do to me to the alley, and then they want to charge me $4,950. I think that for me, that's not right, because in the area, all people, they got a low income to pay the amount. That's a lot. For me, that's a lot. And I understand, in this paper, they say $4,950, and the letter I got in my house, they say there's $1,700. Which one is the real one?
Ma'am, can you repeat your address and the question that you asked?
916 North Memorial Drive.
And you had asked a question. If you can repeat the question, please.
Yes. I'm disapprove this project because for me, there's a lot of money. And those people living in the neighborhood, they got a low income. And you see my house, there's right on the corner. I don't even use the alley for get out and get in the house. And they charge me $4,950 in this paper. And the letter I got in my house, they say this, I have to pay $1,750. I want to know which one is the real price, this one or the $1,750.
My name is Maria.
Mrs. Morales, would you just hold on for a moment? We have to get someone to plug that in.
Thank you. My name is Maria Morales. I live at 952 North Memorial. The alley abuts my property. I never used the alley, and there is no driveway that leads to the alley. I'm here to oppose a special assessment of $4,950, which we are being forced to pay up to reconstruct the alley abutting our homes. Whereas I'm not opposed to this, I am opposed to the exorbitant price that we have to pay. And I ask, why do we have to pay this money when we are already paying taxes to maintain our city? Many of our residents, both owners and renters, cannot afford this. This is the kind of action that forces people out of their home. We already complain about homeless people. We don't want them around. But then on top of this, we have this assessment, and our property taxes are going up, our houses need repairs, the values are going up. Landlords must raise their rents in order to keep up with this. We must move our family in with our families in with other families, or else we go out in the streets. You can come and look. We are not an affluent neighborhood. We are a depressed area. Many of us are low income, many of us minority, living below the poverty level. And for that, we're being penalized. We ask that the city find monies from our tax money that we are paying for this work. We should not have to pay this money when we are paying taxes. Thank you.
I know I'm on. Tammy J. Jones, 615 North Memorial Drive. I'm opposed to the price. I think it's excessive, but I'm not opposed to having the alley repaired because it do need to be repaired.
Repeat your address too, please. I think the microphone was down. I could barely hear you. I just need your address.
The address?
Address, yes.
615 North Memorial Drive.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at State, West, Blake, and Memorial? Please state your name, address, and if you oppose.
My name is Steve Avila, 952 North Memorial Drive. We border right there as west, out to Memorial, the first beginning house. If you can see, it's right there on the corner, along with this other lady who works on the opposite end. If you see, we have no access to the alley. Our driveway literally drives right up in west, almost if our driveway comes literally off of West Street, not the alley. I have no access to the alley. There's a fence bordering from the beginning of the street all the way. And if you're looking right now, you're looking probably at all those abandoned lots that we border across with our fence. And again, like I heard earlier, to put all that money into an alley that's hardly even used, there's not what, I'm looking maybe 3-4 houses, probably more some buildings where they work on cars. It's very used. The garbage man uses it once a week and probably drives through cobwebs passing through there because no one really uses that alley. And yes, it does need to be repaired. We're not saying it does not need to be repaired. Yes, it does. But we're just saying that we shouldn't have to put it out like that, especially when you can put asphalt running across it that city streets have every day with traffic running through it all the time. Whereas us, 3-4 cars a day, if 3-4 cars a day. I'm just saying that this needs to be looked at. Again, what the lady said before about tax paying, fixing up, again, money. You're hearing every different thing from people we're seeing. I'm sure there's a lot more of us out there. But this really, really needs to be addressed and looked at. So I am against it. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at State, West, Blake, Memorial Drive? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at State Street, West Street, Blake Avenue, Memorial Drive? Anyone else wishing to speak on the alley at State, West, Blake, Memorial? Seeing no other speakers, I would now declare the public hearing on the alley at State, West, Blake, Memorial closed. Our next alley is Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the east-west portion of the alley that's bounded by Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, and Randolph. This is in the 8th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is asphalt that was placed in 1982 over concrete. Paisley rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 17-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage in favor or opposed to the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph. Anyone here wishing to speak to the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Anyone here wishing to speak to the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Seeing no one, I would declare the public hearing on the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph closed. Our next alley is Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is on the same slide. This is the north-south segment, bounded by Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, and Randolph. This is the 8th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is asphalt that was placed in 1982 over the existing concrete. Phaser rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 16-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage in favor or opposed to the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Anyone here wishing to speak to the alley, Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Seeing no speakers, I would declare the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph closed. Our next alley is Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, bounded by the exact same streets. This is the northern east-west section of the alley bounded by these 4 streets. This is in the 8th Aldermanic District. The existing surface is asphalt that was placed in 1982 over existing concrete. The Phaser rating is 1. The existing pavement width is 15 feet wide and a 17-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $99 a front foot. This is a recommendation per the ordinance approved by Common Council. At this time, we have 0% of the frontage in favor or opposed to this improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Anyone here wishing to speak to the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Anyone here wishing to speak to the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Anyone here wishing to speak to the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph? Seeing no speakers, I will now declare the alley at Maple, Liberty, North Memorial, Randolph closed. Our final alley this afternoon would be the alley at Victory, 16th, Arthur, and Blaine. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is in the 13th Aldermanic District. This is surface is concrete that was placed in 1954. The Phaser rating is 4. The existing pavement width is 19 feet and a 20-foot wide public right-of-way. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement at $117 a front foot. This alley was recommended by the alderman of the district. At this time, we have 7% of the frontage opposed to the proposed improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on the alley at Victory, 16th, Arthur, Blaine? Please state your name, address, and if you're for or against.
Yes, my name is Scott Clark. I'm at 1625 Arthur Avenue, and I'm opposed to this. Who actually looked at the alley? I mean, physically looked at it.
We have the alleys inspected by a company that does our pavement management. They also look at all of our highways, arterials, collector, and local streets. So they get evaluated by a consulting firm.
Okay, I think you better look at your consulting firm, because I got 2 pictures. Can I show you them of the alley I took a couple hours ago? And I know there's 2 potholes there. They've been there for 2 years. I know DPW is, busy. there's nothing wrong with it other than them two potholes. I mean, can you guys, you want to see the pictures I took? Can I show them to you?
Sure, you can show them if you'd like. You can show them to the committee members as well, if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean, there's
Can I,
nothing. Okay.
can I interject for a second
Yes.
here? This alley was also brought up by the alders, the alder of the district.
Okay.
This was not recommended by staff or the ordinance. This
Okay.
was brought up by the alder.
And this had a Paisley rating, if you heard me go through it, of 4.
Yeah.
So it didn't fall in the 25% worst alleys by the ordinance. It was recommended by the alder of the district to be brought forward for public hearing. That's how it was brought here.
Okay, because I just met her for the first time today, my older person, and I didn't show her these pictures, but, I mean, yeah, I know there's 2 potholes, but other than that, there's nothing wrong with the alley. I mean, I'll show pictures.
I mean, if you would like to share them, we can look at them, but the question probably is to your alder why this was recommended for a public hearing. It didn't fall in the bottom 25% per the ordinance. And if I may, Alder Mack, we will distribute photos of this alley in 2 weeks when you make your final decision. We'll photo log this and show it in 2 weeks as well.
And then
That it was not in the bottom 25%, so. Kendra will get your contact information.
Sir, do you have any additional information you'd like to share with us? Mr. Clark?
Chair, do you have any more comments for the committee? Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the alley at Victory, 16th, Arthur, and Blaine? Anyone else wishing to speak to the alley, Victory, 16th, Arthur, Blaine? Anyone else wishing to speak to the alley at Victory, 16th, Arthur, and Blaine? Seeing no other speakers, I will now close the alley, the public hearing of the alley at Victory, 16th, Arthur, and Blaine. And this concludes our alleys for this evening. We will adjourn for 5 minutes before we start the Public Works meeting.
I'll look out for them.
This is fun.
I check my. I will.
That's the way it happens. You know, every spring we get our public hearings, and they'll probably.
I was this morning.
I told Sam, I said, Sam, this is a slap in the face. I'm the alderman here. I'm a retired police officer.
And you're the alderman for that
Yeah.
district.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
I'm a retired police officer.
Yeah.
And he gave it to you. He goes, well, you know, maybe you consider the, you know, family and law enforcement.
Rocking hard place. Got some blood flow back on my legs.
You know, it's, I know that makes sense. I asked Kendra.
All my free time.
No. Although it says it's a personal.
It's fine.
We're just waiting on Alder Jarrett to get started. I guess I could get started without him, can't I? Good afternoon. We will now start with the Public Works and Service Committee meeting. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 30th, 2024.
Approve.
Moved by Alder Mack, second by Alder Perez to approve the minutes from April 30th, 2024. Are there any comments, questions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our first item on the agenda is 0422-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works, requesting to sole source fuel tanks for the City of Racine Fuel Depot. Staff recommendation that the purchasing agent be authorized to negotiate the purchase, procure, and enter into a contract with Lennon Tanks for delivery of two 15,000 gallons fuel tanks. Physical note, funding is available in Order Objects 45040, 57110, above ground fuel cell. Mr. Pritzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. The existing fuel depot at the facility's underground fuel storage tanks are beyond their 30-year service life and are not covered by any environmental liability insurance at this time. Common Council appropriated $800,000 to replace these tanks with the proposed new above-ground tanks and associated piping and controls. Because the manufacturer of these tanks is local, the city will get a much better price than if a formal bid was conducted, largely due to materials handling and transportation costs. Staff recommends these tanks be the sole source. Staff recommends that these tanks be sole source to Land and Tanks, and that the purchasing agent be authorized to negotiate purchase, procure, and enter into a contract with Land and Tanks for the manufacture and delivery of two 15,000-gallon tanks. Incidentally, regarding these tanks, with this particular purchase and moving forward, we will be reducing on a fuel storage that we have 25%. So there is a notable reduction in fuel capacity. Commissioner Rooney.
Madam Chair, if you want to see if the alders want to make a motion or need further discussion, I'll defer to them.
It's been motion and second to approve item 0422-24. Any comments, questions? Alder Perez.
The 25% reduction in the size of the tanks, does that make any difference overall with anything?
Well, we know there's a desire, obviously, by the mayor and common council to go to electrification of the fleet in the future. So we analyze very closely what our fuel consumption has been over the last several years. And right now we have 4 10,000-gallon underground storage tanks in service. We believe we can reduce that to about 75% of that fuel storage to 30,000 gallons, to two 15,000-gallon tanks. What that does is provide us about enough cushion, about 8 days between fuel deliveries based on our consumption. We tried to look at further reducing fuel storage down to two 12,000-gallon tanks. That gets us down to about a 3-day turnaround for delivery of fuel, which is not sustainable, particularly during snow and ice season, during those type of operations where we could literally run out of fuel before our tanks were refilled. So in an effort to try to reduce the amount of fuel management, that was the number that we landed on that we felt comfortable with. That's why we're asking that the purchasing agent procure two 15,000-gallon storage tanks for this project. The project would still be bid out competitively to get constructed, but the fuel tanks have about a 20-week lead time on delivery. So we want to get the tanks ordered, then we'll bid out the construction of the fuel depot with the city providing the tanks to the contractor so we can get this accomplished before snow and ice season starts.
But if gas at this level, would it last more than 2 weeks for delivery? I mean, looking at what we may need in the future, does having the gas in the tanks, does gas expire? What difference would that make?
No, it's based on the consumption and the frequency of delivery to fill these tanks. So that's the key metric here. So the 40,000 gallons that we currently have, I believe we have about 16 days that we can go without delivery. Based on our needs, the needs of police department, water, wastewater, parks department, public works, by reducing the amount of fuel that we handle, our frequency for delivery would be about half of that, because you do have to leave some fuel in the bottom of the tank, to keep the pumps primed, and they're not like completely exhausted to the bottom. So you don't necessarily get the entire 10,000 gallons out of each of those 4 tanks. There's something less than that. So that's why we landed on the 15,000 gallons. We thought that was a pretty good compromise to not interrupt delivery of fuel to provide operational service to the citizenry.
But if you have smaller tanks, wouldn't that mean that there's more deliveries more often?
No.
So there's still a 16-day...
No, it will be. It'll be down to 8 days for these tanks. We're going from 40,000 gallons to 30,000 gallons. So we're...
Costs more to have the deliveries done more recently.
No. All of our fuel is procured through... it's procured. If we need fuel delivered sooner for some odd reason, we get it delivered at that price. It doesn't matter if they deliver it more. But the odds of us running out of fuel before fuel can be delivered to us, when everybody else needs fuel, other municipalities, other agencies, whoever that may, retail gas stations, that's when it gets to be problematic, when we could be down to having our tanks refilled every 3 days, and we're in the middle of an operation that may last 48, 72 hours. And then we also have to provide fuel to every other department that needs it as well. So that's why that downsizing, 30,000 gallons, is the spot we want to land on.
Do we have the option or availability within our program to use commercial gas if we run out of gas? I mean, is there like a fleet card that they can go to the gas station and use if they need to?
If push came to shove, yes. But that would be outfitting every vehicle in our fleet with fuel cards. There'd be no priority fueling. They'd be subject to waiting for fuel like everybody else. 24/7 fueling options at the mercy of the retailer that's open. Some of our equipment is so large, particularly Racine Fire Department and some of the larger, heavier equipment in Public Works and a water wastewater utility, might have to go out to Highway 11 and County Trunk Highway H, their fuel depot out there, that retail facility that was built for Foxconn and those areas out there, to be able to maneuver and get fuel in those areas. So that is the operational liability of not having a fuel depot. And the fuel management system that we use with the depot is what is used to develop all of our preventative maintenance schedules. So all of that data that we collect from a fuel depot and the fuel management system sets up when our PMs are done for our fleet. So the hours are logged in at our fuel depot. It's all programmed in, as is the mileage on these vehicles, the associated invoicing to every department. Racine Unified is a customer of ours. Racine County, when they're on the east end, they don't go all the way back out to Ives Groves, west of I-94 to fuel. They buy fuel from us. The water and wastewater utility buy fuel from us as well, in addition to the other departments that we support, parks, police, fire, etc.
Okay, so I don't want additional comments, but I don't want to belabor this. But having a smaller fuel tank with what you just explained doesn't seem to make any sense to me, precisely because of what you've explained. And idea to have a smaller, have the reserve, gas doesn't go bad, so even have the delivery. Having a smaller tank, not necessary. Thank you.
Understood. We can get by with 30,000 gallons of storage. We could get by with 40,000 gallons of storage. We just need to get refilled less frequently. But 30,000 is the minimum we can go to be comfortable with being able to fuel the fleet that we have.
Why is this single out?
The sole source is because we want the purchasing agent to be authorized to negotiate the price for these tanks. The city of Racine will save on sales tax. We'll get the tanks procured and begin that process to get them shipped. Again, there's a 20-week lead time on these. If we have to bid out the tanks to be procured as part of the bid to place these at the fuel depot, then not until that bid is approved by committee and common council, and we go through the advertising process to get there, and then contracts are signed by the mayor, city clerk, finance director, and city attorney. Then when the contractor has a signed contract after all their bonds are submitted, then they would go and put that order in to procure these fuel tanks. Then that would be another 20 weeks out before the project would get started. We are trying to get the tanks replaced and the fuel depot updated prior to this next snow and ice season, because we're already beyond warranty for the tanks and all the appurtenances. I can't tell you whether they'll fail today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year, but the sooner we can move this project forward, we lower that risk of operational liability to the citizens of Racine.
So there's no set cost right now.
No,
Just
there's not.
approving, go ahead and order this or get a bid on this. Is that what we're approving today?
Authorize the purchasing agent to negotiate the price, yes. It's the tank that the designer has recommended based on our installation that he has looked at. I've got some slides to show you kind of what's being proposed if you want to see them.
Not at this point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a question?
Alder Mack.
My understanding is the tanks are produced or manufactured locally, correct?
Ron, do you know where Lannon, pardon?
According to the letter.
Sussex, Wisconsin.
Okay. So local to Wisconsin, and apparently you're going to save money on transportation and by negotiating.
And sales tax, because otherwise that gets passed on through bidding. We're exempt from paying sales tax.
Are you comfortable with the size of the tanks, or would it be in our best interest to either add 1 or 2 tanks to this project?
We are very comfortable with downsizing the size of the fuel management system to 30,000 gallons based on the data that we have provided the consultant. They analyzed it, and the lead time for refilling of those fuel tanks. I have it on here. It's 16.6 days with 40,000 gallons, and we're at 8.7 days going down to 30,000 gallons. Very reasonable amount of time. Doesn't put us in any type of peril as to getting fuel filled, but getting down shorter than that, we're down to about 3 1/3 days. We'll run out of fuel if we don't get them refilled based on normal consumption. So again, you introduce a snow and ice operations. We looked at it. We believe the 8.7 days is more than enough time to get refueled to take care of our entire fleet need. Now, we're trying to demonstrate that we're trying to reduce a little bit of fossil fuels here, because we are going to be on, vehicles that require diesel or gasoline for the foreseeable future. but we're trying to demonstrate that we're trying to manage with a little bit less fuel and move towards that effort.
And I'm assuming that whether you're ordering every 8 days or 16 days, you're still dealing with the same problem of the tanks running low, the same amount. The only wrench in the system is if we got hit with a large snowstorm and it was difficult to get fuel in, but we run that risk also with a 16-day supply also, depending on the timing of the storm, correct?
You could. I mean, I think 16.6 days, you know, it could have been back in the day too, Alder Mack. This is a 30-year-old facility. Based on the data that those folks in Public Works used at that time, you know, maybe the fleet was less fuel efficient back then. It required, you know, more fuel to operate. So based on the type of equipment that we have, the consumption that we use, and even in those time of years that we experience, you know, a greater need for 24/7 operations, you know, we feel that the two 15,000-gallon tanks are going to suffice for the replacement of those. Plus, they're above-ground tanks as well, which gives us the flexibility. For some reason, if that area over there, let's say, became a redevelopment area along the bluff of the river, these tanks can get picked up and moved to a new location. They're not buried. They're ASTs, above-ground storage tanks. So it's not a sunk cost per se where you have to go and excavate and pull them out of the ground. They're above ground. You can move them to a new location if you so desire.
I'm comfortable with staff recommendation. If staff is comfortable with it, I'm not an expert on fuel consumption. You've crunched the numbers. I'm not an expert on buying fuel. I like the fact that they're above ground tanks, although fuel tanks today are better constructed than they were back in the day. Having them above ground is a whole lot better than having them underground. Risk of
Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion passes. The next item on our agenda is 0343-24, communications sponsored by Alder Kelly, requesting the thin blue line flag be flown below the American flag on June 17th, 2024, in honor of the anniversary of fallen police officer John Hetland. Mr. Prisloff.
Second.
It's been motioned by Alder Perez, second by Alder Mack, to approve item 034324. Any comments, questions? Alder Perez.
Yes, we brought this up last year and approved it to be brought before council every year to do this. Spoke today, since today we had the police memorial ceremony, spoke with the mother of Officer Hetland, and she was looking forward to the recognition of her son's sacrifice. I think that it's important for us as a community to recognize the value of law enforcement and to recognize the value, the risk, the danger that all our police officers, especially those who have given their lives for us, deserve. And at least this is a very small honor, but an honor nonetheless. So I would recommend to this committee and to council to move forward and approve this for this year.
Thank you, Alder Perez. Any further questions from Alder Mack?
I'd like to make a motion that we permanently add this to the calendar so that we don't have to have this come before us each year and discuss it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Alder Mack, second by Alder Perez, to move this forward to be on the calendar each year rather than coming with approval from the council.
An amendment, ma'am?
Beg pardon?
Would that be an
It would be
amendment to this motion?
amendment to it. To
Yes.
amend the motion was to amend the motion.
It's just a point of order. It was to amend.
Excuse me. This would be an amendment to the original
Original motion was to approve. The amendment would be to make it a permanent addition to.
And we had a second from Alder Perez on that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye to the amendment.
Point of order, discuss.
Oh. Alder Jarrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alder Mack and Alder Perez, thank you so much for your thoughts, and for, especially Alder Perez, for going over what this means to Officer Hetland and his family. Alder Mack, I know we had just had this discussion before about the thin blue line, because we have it flown during the second week of May, I believe. And we did discuss that this should still be brought up every year. Any flag that's flown below the American flag, the council had voted that it should be brought every year up for consideration. And so I'm not sure what that point of order we have to do, if we have to vote on it first and then come back if it fails or whatever the case is. But I definitely support the flag being flown on that day in the recognition and the remembrance of Officer Hetland. However, I would still like to make sure that we do recognize that this should be brought up every year for discussion.
Thank you. It can still proceed to go through, but it would be in front of the council then to see if we wanted to still bring it up each year or we wanted to make it permanent.
Would that be only if it was called out for separate consideration?
Yes, I would do that, just to make sure that the council is in agreement with it, because they voted to bring it up each year. And we in committee are proposing that we have it permanent. And so that's why I think it would need to go in front of the council. Alder Mack.
With all due respect, that was the old council. Each year we seat a new council, and each council has the ability to make changes. There have been a lot of changes since I sat on the council from 2011, and therefore I would urge my colleagues to support this. Thank you.
Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The amendment passes. Now we need a motion to approve the as amended.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Mack to approve 034324 as amended. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item on the agenda is 0419-24, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services, submitting bid results for contract 2024122, Lincoln Park Bridge removal. Staff recommendation that the contract for Lincoln Park Bridge removal be awarded to Pfeiffer Brothers Construction in the amount of $116,827.54, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Physical note, funding is available in Art Objects, Land Improvement, and the TID. Mr. Pritzloff. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Bosher. So sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this project is just going to be removing the pedestrian bridge between the Lincoln Park and Spring Street. It's been in bad shape for a long time. I've asked, so if there's any questions.
From committee members. Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Approve.
Second.
Moved by Alder Mack, second by Alder Perez to approve item 0419-24. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. The next item on our agenda is 0420-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department Parks, Recreation, and Culture Services, submitting bid results for contract 2024-123 Island Park Pavilions Staircase Relocation. Staff recommendation that the contract be awarded to Absolute Construction Enterprise, Inc. in the amount of $46,400, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Physical note funding is available in Ord Objects 45150, 57-200 Building Improvement. Mr. Botcher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project is to relocate the staircase at the Island Pavilion from exterior to interior, so both floors are safely accessible. The outside staircase is becoming hazardous and eyesore, to be honest. So we are trying to do the inside of the project this year and then complete the outside next year, possibly.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Alder Perez, second by Alder Mack to approve item 0420-24. Excuse me. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item is
Thank you for your time.
0406-24, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2024053 Erie Street Joint Repairs. Staff recommendation that the contract Erie Street Joint Repairs be awarded to Beasley Concrete in the amount of $124,158, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Physical note funding is available in Ord Objects, DPW paving, storm sewer, sanitary sewer. Engineer Molitor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Alder Mack.
Two questions.
Go ahead.
They're basically last year.
North, okay. 30 seconds. Thank you.
Alder Perez. Alder Perez.
Why do you think the $70,000 difference from your estimate to the bid? What is a street? What is a street joint?
Well, the concrete, every 20 feet.
That where the two slabs come together?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Moved by Alder Perez, second by Alder Mack to approve item 0406-24. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion passes. The next item on our agenda is 0418-24, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of Jacob Lumdahl, president of Fourth Fest of Greater Racine, Inc., requesting permission to use city right-of-way for the 4th of July parade on July 4th, 2024. Staff recommendation that the request of Fourth Fest Greater Racine, Inc. be approved, closing certain city streets on Thursday, July 4th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. to hold the 2024 Independence Day Parade. Further recommends that in the interest of public safety, the Commissioner of Public Works, City Engineer, and Chief of Police be authorized and directed to close the following streets. Do we need to read all of these? Okay. Further recommends that the Commissioner of Public Works be authorized and directed to communicate with the U.S. Coast Guard, requesting permission to close the Main Street and State Street bridges to mass boat traffic for the period from 7:45 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and from 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. on July 4th, 2024. Further recommends that the Commission of Public Works, City Engineer, and Chief of Police provide limited assistance in the interest of public safety to implement this event. Physical note, since the city is a co-sponsor of this event, there are no stipulations. Mr. Pritchloff.
Madam Chairman, before we begin the session, I just want to make it clear that I am on the Board of Directors for Racine Fourth Fest, and I will be abstaining from both discussion and from a vote. Thank you.
Excuse me.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. This is an annual request. Staff did review it. There appears to be no significant changes from previous years. As the item stated, we will work with the Coast Guard to ensure that we're not lifting those bridges during the time of the parade. So we fully anticipate that that will not be a problem. Not had a problem. Don't anticipate having one. So staff recommends approval.
Alder Perez.
The document seems to be defective. If you look on the before last paragraph of the Fourth Fest request, it talks about the Walker site being used for parking, I believe it is. Yes, for the fireworks. There is no recommendation on the form for that coming from the staff recommendation. Is that a defect on purpose, or is that just an omission?
You're talking about the letter to...
This Fourth Fest letter is requesting parking at the Walker site for the fireworks. There is no such recommendation on the proposal that we're voting on. Is that a defect or just an omission?
That's deliberate,
Why?
because we need to get, don't know if we can allow all that parking in that area right now. That's,
Do we, okay, let me rephrase that.
yeah.
And maybe the city attorney could help us. Do we own the property right now?
City Development owns it. And there's right now there's, I believe there's a bunch of gravel on the site that would have to be removed, I think, as well.
For parking? We park on gravel all the time?
No, there's a big pile of gravel. It's not flattened out. So the site has been used by City Development to store and stockpile chunks of concrete for whatever projects they use. They use that as a site to dump that concrete there and crush on that site.
So what you're saying is that the probability of having to remove the obstacles that are in the parking lot would make it impossible to have parking for the fireworks there?
Not impossible, but certainly a safety issue.
Improbable?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Can we, and maybe you can address this, sir, can we then, as a city council or committee, order that be taken care of so that they have a place to park, or can we find an alternate parking location?
We could search for an alternate, for sure. I don't think you're going to get it removed by July 4th. So that would be pretty much, I think, the only option.
So what kind of alternate location, for example, would the parking by the library and the pond be accessible, or is that already used by something else?
Not that I know of. There's also some parking down near that Knights Title Company over there too. There's a number of lots we could probably open up and use to accommodate their request.
We have to add an amendment to this proposal to include that.
At this point, I'd recommend that you give me an opportunity to evaluate which lots might be good and which lots might not be so good, and bring this up for separate consideration at the Common Council meeting.
So you're suggesting that between now and the Common Council meeting, you would have a recommendation for a place for parking?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would that change then what we have here, because it's not included in what we would be approving?
I don't think it would change anything.
It's not there, so we can't vote on it.
Well, you're voting on everything minus the Walker site, correct? Because the recommendation by staff did not have the Walker site in. The motion at Common Council would include.
Would we have to amend it to add
that
the
is correct.
parking that you would recommend?
Correct, sir. That's the way procedurally, that's the way I would see it. I don't know if that's correct.
That sounds good. Okay, please note on the notes for this that discussion was had and that we are expecting a recommendation from Mr. Pritzloff. I was get that wrong. Mr. Pritzloff in the notes so that it does not get overlooked at council. Is that possible? I couldn't hear what you
said. It's not a problem. I'll put it on. I'll make sure that Alder Jones is aware of it, and the committee is aware of it moving forward. I'll send out an email saying here's our recommendation moving forward, and I happen to be at that meeting next week, so I will handle it. Any questions that come up regarding that.
So would that have to be done through separate consideration?
I believe it would.
Okay. Relevant of what you, but, so at this point, can we already declare separate consideration for this since we need additional information?
My opinion would be that if you made a vote on this particular item, you would be voting on everything but the Walker site. So if you were to approve it, the Walker site would not be in that approval. In which case, at Common Council, you'd have to come back to say, we want this for separate consideration to amend the approval at Public Works and Services Committee to include whatever parking areas that I happen to recommend. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Sounds good. And a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by excuse me, one moment. Alder Perez and Alder Jarrett motion and seconded. And
Sorry, it's all the.
I seconded.
Oh, Alder, excuse me, Alder Sebastian. Now we need a roll call.
Alder Jarrett.
Aye.
Alder Sebastian. Aye. Alder Mack.
Abstain.
Alder Perez.
Aye.
Alder Jones.
Aye. Thank you. We have one abstention. I still have to ask, anyone opposed? Then the motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is 0417-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of Department of Public Works, submitting the final resolution for the following alleys assessment. Portland Cement Concrete Paving. Mr. Prisloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Our first alley is Jerome 20th, Taylor and Kearney East. It's a Portland cement concrete pavement. The PASER rating is 1. It affects 3 properties. We have 0% of the front footage for. We have 0% of the front footage against. Madam Chair.
We have Jerome 20th, Taylor and Kearney. Zero for, 0 against. Alder Perez.
I'd like to make a motion that we remove all of them except what's found on page 37, Alley, English Yacht, Marquette, LaSalle.
Move all of them?
Except for what's on page 37, English Yacht, Marquette, LaSalle. The reason being they all have negatives or nothing. The only ones that have positive feedback are English Yacht, Marquette, LaSalle, found on page 37.
As said. Be the alley north, south English.
Excuse me, committee members. Excuse me, Alder Perez. We need to take each one of these separate, unfortunately.
No, we don't.
We don't?
We have not done that in the past, especially last meeting. We took them all as a
Right,
as
last
a group.
meeting. But in previous years, we've always taken them separate.
This is a new year, ma'am. We don't have to follow what we've done in previous years if we decide to do something different. I can ask the attorney about that.
Yes.
It's up to us. It's not up to tradition.
Alder Perez,
Yes, ma'am.
would you repeat your motion again so we can have it clarified?
I was looking at the results of these here,
Okay.
but I'd like to restate my motion, please. I would like to remove all of them except for 3 of them.
Those 3?
On page 29, it looks like. That's, yeah, not.
30.
Okay, Meyer, ma'am, I'd like to redo that. Page 30 on this sheet. Remove all of them except number 13 and 14. Number 13 being Alley, NS, English, Yout, Marquette, LaSalle, and 14 Alley, NS, Gould, Walton, Superior, Green. Those 2 are the only ones I'd like to approve to move forward. The rest I'd like to remove.
If I may be clear, that motion can be entertained, and if it then passes, that's fine. We go forward with that. However, if that does not go through, then we would go back to going through each one individually.
Alder Perez, would you just repeat your motion again, please?
I'd like to remove all, the motion is to delete, I guess, 1 through 17 with the exception of 13 and 14 of what's found on page 29 and 30.
And Alder Mack, did you second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been motioned by Alder Perez and seconded by Alder Mack that we remove all the items on page 29 and 30 with the exception of 13 and 14 on page 30. Alder Jarrett.
However, I think that we should go through some of guided or forward with this. Because more than anything, if this comes up during common council, it's just taking time then. So I think we should just take the time now and go through some of these.
Motion is on the floor, so it would move forward, and if it doesn't pass, then we can go back for each additional one. Alder Mack.
I would be okay with adding 1, 3, 6, and 17 to items 13 and 14, which I asked for separate consideration. All of those have 0% for or against. The remainder either have support or people, or the remainder are opposed to the project significantly in some cases.
So your items would be item 1, item 6,
Item 3, 1, 3, 6, 13, 14, and 17.
6, 13, 14, 17. Did I miss one? Alder Sebastian. Have to.
I would amend it. I would make a motion.
Actually
And the original
take your
motion.
motion back, and if you're second to take it back, then you could make a new one, or you can.
I'll take the second back, and I'll make a motion that we delete 1 through 17 with the exception of 1, 3, 6, 13, 14, and 17.
I'll second.
Point of order.
Alder Perez.
Wouldn't I have to take it back also then? Otherwise, it doesn't move forward at all.
Oh, correct, sir. So at this time, would you take back your second?
No, my first.
Oh, your first. Okay. So now, oops.
Take a vote and it fails.
Okay, we took back the motion. Who made the motion in the first place?
I did.
Alder Perez. So you take back your motion. Alder Mack, you take back your second?
Did Alderman Perez take back?
I did not take back
My understanding is that the motion now belongs to the body, and it's the body that has to decide what they'll do with the motion. So I would recommend that we take a vote on the original motion, vote it down, and come back with a new motion.
All right. Alder Perez, you made the original. Who did the second? Alder Mack?
I did the
All right.
second.
Okay. Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Mack, to delete items 1, 3, 6. Nope,
Through
that's right.
17.
13 and 14 and
Was it
17.
17.
Yes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
Only hear one no.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. Okay. The motion, excuse me, fails. Alder Mack.
I'd make a motion to delete 1 through 17 with the exception of number 1, number 3, number 6, number 13, number 14, and number 17.
Motion by Alder Mack, second by Alder Jarrett. To delete all items except 1, 3, 6, 13, 14, and 17. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose?
Aye or nay?
Okay. The motion passes. We need a motion to approve as amended for item 0417-24.
Make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion by Alder Mack, second by Alder Sebastian, to approve item 0417-24 as amended. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Oppose?
Okay.
The motion passes. 3 ayes, 1 no. Okay. This will conclude our agenda for this afternoon.
Have to take 1, 3, 6, 13, 14, and 17 up, I thought, individually now.
Oh,
So
okay.
staff will go
You are
through-
correct.
Yes.
I was trying to get out of here. Item 1, alley, southwest, northeast, Jerome, 20th Taylor Kearney.
Madam Chair, can you again go over how do we do this? Just a move to approve the concrete?
Let's have staff do their spiel and then make the motion.
All right, so this particular alley is in Portland cement concrete pavement. It pays a rating of 1, total of 3 properties. We have 0% for and 0% against the proposed project.
We can make an emotion for this one. On both of these.
Madam Chair, all the alleys will be in Portland cement
Oh, that's
concrete
right.
pavement.
Okay.
Correct. There will be no bituminous option for any of these.
Ah. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion. Alley E, southwest and northeast, southwest and northeast Jerome.
Second. Oh.
Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Mack. Alder Sebastian to approve alley east, southwest, northeast, Jerome, 20th, Taylor, Kearney. In Portland, PCCP. What did you? Portland cement concrete. Sorry. Oh, any questions, comments? Alder Perez.
It seems that $11,000 per home seems a lot to do this alley. And I would say that we really need to take that in consideration. Considering that nobody voted for it or against it, I would say that that's a lot of money for a strip for just 3 houses, when each are going to be responsible for a little over $11,000 of what the recommended or suggested cost will be.
The first one says properties 3, the second one says properties 9. So we only have 3?
We only have 3 along the first alley. We only have 3 along that first alley, Madam Chair, and there's another 9 along the second alley.
Yeah, it's 2 separate alleys. Southwest, Northeast, Jerome 20th, Taylor, Kearney, and the item number
Alley.
2 is Alley West, Jerome 20th, Taylor, Kearney. Go back, we don't have those pictures.
So we,
It's one,
both
yeah.
of those.
No, the number 2 has already been deleted by the motion
Right.
that was passed. So it's just the east alley, which is a shorter alley. It only has 3 properties on it. It's on the east end of the block. They're angled streets. That's why it's kind of goofy. It's, Jerome 20th, Taylor, Kearney, south side, just north of 21st Street. There's an alley that goes all the way through. That's the west one. That was the one that was deleted with the first motion. This one is a partial alley. It only goes halfway into the block. It only has 3 properties that abut against it.
A question.
Alder Perez.
So, Mr. Pritzloff, can you explain where it says total and then project estimated assessment amount and city GOB costs? So what would be the cost per home if there's only 3 homes? If the total is $35,545, how does the 16,374.60 and the 19,170.40 fit in?
Well, I'd have to do a quick calculation, but you figure that on a 40-foot lot.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
You're asking for how much each homeowner is going to pay, right?
No, well, we have 3 different amounts there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what amount would we base on theoretically if it's only 3 houses? Will we base it on the 35,000, the 16,000, or the 19,000 that the homeowner would be, or the homeowners would be responsible for?
Homeowners would be responsible for the projected estimated assessment amount. So in this case, that's $16,374.60.
That would be theoretically split between 3. I know the numbers don't mean.
Yeah,
because
so
the
if you divide it by
difference
3, that's about what you're going to have.
Okay.
Roughly
questions?
5,500 a property.
Okay, thank you. And does this fall under the payment plan to the city that you do over 10 years?
Yes,
If
sir.
they can't pay it?
Yes, sir.
It does.
Correct.
$200 is the threshold for that. Anything under
Oh, go here, because I can't hear what you're saying.
Anything under $200 has to be paid for in full the first year. Anything over $200 is, so this is well over the $200,000 or $200 threshold. So this could be spread out over 10 years.
And 10 years is our limit? It can't go more than 10 years?
That's just the option that the city provides to put
Right.
on their property taxes. They have other options too. I mean, it's.
No, but
you
I'm
know,
saying if they go through the city?
Yes.
That's just 10 years?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor, please say aye. Oppose?
Opposed?
Passes. The next item is number 3, Alley North South, 17th Street, Packard, South Memorial.
Alley West East, Washington Home. I'm sorry, my mistake.
So, Madam Chair, in this particular case, we have Portland Cement Concrete Pavement. Its PASER rating is 1. It affects 23 properties. We have 0% of the front footage for and 0% of the front footage against.
At the alleys on the screen, you can kind of see what shape they're in. Moved by Alder Sebastian, second by Alder Jarrett to approve. Alley, is that north-south? 17th, 16th, Packard, South Memorial. Any questions? Comments? All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
The motion passes. The next item is number 6, Alley West East 16th, Washington, Holmes, Boyd. In Portland Cement Concrete. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Pritzloff, I was saying Alder Pritzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, again, a Portland Cement Concrete paving. This is a PASER rating of 1. We have 7 affected properties along this alley. We have 0% of the front footage for and 0% of the front footage against.
Any questions? Alder Perez.
Do they charge interest on the 10 years?
Yes, sir, 6%.
Much?
6%.
Or is that a set amount for 6 years, or does it vary with the interest rate, variable interest rate?
No, that is an interest rate that has been set by the Common Council.
Alder Jarrett?
Are we still having discussion? Can I move to approve?
Certainly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move to approve Alley 16.
Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Sebastian to approve Alley West East 16th, Washington, Holmes, Boyd. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Next alley is number 13, North-South English, Yout, Marquette, LaSalle. Alder Pritchett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have, again, Portland Cement Concrete Pavement. This is a PASER rating of 2, affects 13 properties, and in this particular alley, we have 30.81% of the front footage for the project and 0% against the project.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alder Mack, second by Alder Sebastian to approve the alley, North-South English, Yout, Marquette, LaSalle.
The picture that was up there wasn't the right one. Yeah, that's better.
Alder Mack.
If you recall, 2 of the property owners, or 3, spoke for that. A lot of the property on that particular block is rental. The homeowners that actually live on the block are tired of the deteriorated nature of that alley.
Thank you. Any questions, other questions from committee members? Seeing none. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. The next item is number 14, Alley North-South, Gould, Walton, Superior, Green. Mr. Pritchloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, we have Portland Cement Concrete Pavement. This is a PACER rating of 3. We have 28 affected properties, and we have 3.35% of the front footage for the project, and we have 6.7% of the front footage against the project.
Any questions from committee members? Alder Sebastian.
So, and again, this is, picture, I mean, these are just 2 photos, but I look at this as a PACER rating as 3, where some of the ones we're looking at were like, that were 1 that kind of almost looked worse than this, but again, it's only just it's just 1 photo evidence, not looking at the whole thing, right? Like, I'm just trying to get a visual.
It's not on this sheet, but I believe this was also Alder recommended.
Okay.
This was recommended by the previous alderman, and that's why I called it out for separate consideration. Whatever the committee decides, it's in the committee's purview.
Any further discussion? The motion is in order.
Second.
Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Mack, to approve alley north-south, Gould, Walton, Superior, and Green. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Would you mind repeating that again? Because I think we have 2-2. Aye. The chair will vote aye. Motion passes. Our final item is alley east, north, south, Jones, Walton, Geneva, LaSalle. Mr. Pritchloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Portland Cement Concrete Pavement, a PACER rating of 2. It affects a total of 8 properties. 0% of the front footage is for, and 0% of the front footage is against.
Questions from committee members? You see the street, the alley on your screen.
17 is only south, 17 is only north-south, but 16 was the west, north-south. So we're actually looking on the picture on the far right. Okay.
Yes, the far right is the correct one.
Any questions from committee members? What? Questions from committee members? Then a motion is in order.
Motion to delete alley east, alley east, north, south, Jones, Walton, Geneva, LaSalle.
Second.
Motion to delete this one?
Yes, ma'am.
And Alder Sebastian. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Now, we have to go back. Excuse me, we need a motion to approve as amended because we did change the last one.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
It's motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Mack to approve as amended. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Is that it? That's it. That concludes our agenda item for this afternoon. Thank you all so much for your patience, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. No, I missed being.